welcome to another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the show. In each episode, we take a look at a movie that is featured on Disney+. On this episode, we are going back to 2005 as we take a look at The Fantastic Four, starring Jessica Alba and Chris Evans. And if you are enjoying these videos, I do ask that you please hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified with each new episode. Now, sit back and enjoy this episode of Disney Movie Investigation. So like I said, today we're covering The Fantastic Four. This movie was released on July 5th, 2005, and it was directed by Tim Story. It is based on The Fantastic Four by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. The screenplay was by Mark Frost and Michael France. The production companies were 20th Century Fox, Constantine Films, 1492 Pictures, and Marvel Enterprises. It was distributed by 20th Century Fox. The budget for this movie was $100 million, and it did a box office return of $333.5 million. So in 1983, German producer Bernhard Eckardt met with Stan Lee about producing a Fantastic Four film. It would take over 3 years for Eckhardt's company, Constantine Films, to go ahead to get the film rights. Both Warner Brothers and Columbia Pictures expressed interest in distributing the Fantastic Four movie. However, they were both skeptical about the budget that was proposed at $40 million. The movie was delayed, and rights were set to expire in 1992, and Eckardt asked Marvel for an extension, but they declined. Eckhardt's solution was to produce a low-budget Fantastic Four film so he could retain the film rights. Director Roger Corman was approached on directing a $5 million Fantastic Four movie in order to retain the film rights for future productions. The film budget would actually be slashed even lower to $1 million, and in 1994, the film trailer was brought to theaters along with a cast and crew promotional tour. The film, however, would never be officially released, and the film was accused of being an ashcan copy, only to be released in order to retain film rights. If you do want to see this film, it is available in its entirety on YouTube. The actors were actually quite pissed off, rightfully so, as they were told that this was set to go as a actual theatrical movie, not just a scam in order to retain the film rights. Marvel Comics would eventually pay for the film negative so that 20th Century Fox could go ahead and develop their own Fantastic Four movie. So in terms of the 20th Century Fox, in 1995, they would hire Christopher Columbus to direct the Fantastic Four, and he would develop a screenplay along with Michael France. But eventually, Christopher Columbus would step down as director and focus on producing the movie under his production company, 1492 Pictures. Peter Siegel was hired as the director in 1997, but by the end of the year, he would be replaced by Sam Weisman. In February of 1999, the film was still in development, and Fox signed a deal with Marvel to extend the rights for another 2 years and hired Raja Gosnell to direct. Gosnell would also drop out and decided to direct Scooby-Doo instead. In April of 2001, Peyton Reed was actually assigned to direct the movie, and he would hire Mark Frost to develop another screenplay rewrite on the film. Reed would ultimately leave the project as well over creative differences with Fox. And then finally, Tim Story was hired to direct in April of 2004 after Fox executives saw an early cut of his previous film, Taxi. Story would also make significant changes to the screenplay after the movie The Incredibles came out in order to avoid comparison between the two films. So let's take a look at the cast we did get. So we had Ioan Gruffudd, who plays Reed Richards, Jessica Alba, who plays Sue Storm, Chris Evans, who plays Johnny Storm, Michael Chiklis, who plays Ben Grimm, Julian McMahon, who plays Victor Von Doom, and Kerry Washington, who plays Alicia Masters. In terms of the plot, 4 astronauts have their lives changed forever when they end up being in a cloud of cosmic radiation. Reed Richards now has the ability to stretch his body like elastic. Sue Storm is now the Invisible Woman. Johnny Storm becomes the Human Torch, and Ben Grimm becomes the Thing, a man made out of rock. But there is one problem. The journey sponsor, Victor Von Doom, is also transferred, and is infected with full power and is a dangerous force when released into the world. So in terms of the legacy, the first teaser trailer for this movie was released ahead of Elektra. And the premiere actually would be moved from July 1st to July 8th, as the studio did not want to compete with Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds movie. In June of 2007, they would actually release an extended cut of the movie that featured several deleted scenes, as well as a preview of the sequel, Rise of the Silver Surfer. A movie novel was also released, written by Marvel Comics' Peter David, and the book also contains several of the deleted scenes. And then just recently, Chris Evans would actually reprise his role as Johnny Storm in Deadpool and Wolverine. So would I recommend this movie? I think this movie is okay for its time. It is a typical Marvel movie in the early 2000s, very similar to Spider-Man and similar to Spider-Man, as well as like Daredevil and Elektra at the time. I think the first part with the origins is actually really interesting, but when the movie tends to stall is after they get the origins, and there's this kind of lag between the final fight with Doctor Doom. It's just kind of silly jokes that are repeated over and over again, so it kind of stalls a little bit. I do like the performance from Jessica Alba and Evans. I think they're the standout roles. I think this movie is definitely worth a watch. It's just not one that's going to be like, it's kind of interesting where Marvel ended up, because this is what Marvel doesn't want to do anymore. And they do more kind of the epic movies as opposed to the comedy action movies that this is. So recommend it, but just, it's not going to be like the other Marvel movies. So thank you so much for joining us here on another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. I would love for anyone to please leave a comment below on what they think of the Fantastic Four. And as we look forward to our next episode, we're going to continue into the world of Marvel as we take a look at the Disney Plus documentary, Marvel Behind the Mask. So until next time, I hope you have a magical day, and we will see you real soon.